We're talking about today's reading in the gospel. We're talking about signs. Is this a sign? Is this fungus? Is this mold? What do you call it? Moss growing? Yeah, I think that actually is moss. Maybe I shouldn't touch it. Or is it a fungus that's going to kill the tree? Or is this the tree that's dead? No, this one's alive. Anyway, isn't it moss growing on the side of a tree? No, we're not chasing the birds. Up there in the spring, there's purple flowers. These little purple flowers are going to be everywhere down here eventually. As time goes, they've concentrated. They started there and then concentrated up there near the front, and they moved down and spread down to here. So eventually, I think the yard will get covered. Today's gospel, Jesus says, "You people look for a sign." The royal official, his child is dying, and he comes to plead with Jesus to save his child. And Jesus says, "You people look for signs." I think he's looking for mercy. He's looking for a miracle for his child to not die. But anyway, these are signs of spring. Those were signs that the Jews were looking for to say, who does Jesus think he is? Why does he do these things he does? Under what authority? By what power do you do these things? So here's another sign. Mississippi starting to bloom. It'll be 60 tomorrow, 70 the day after. Then it'll get cold. Anyway, so Jesus heals the child, and the royal official got his son. In another gospel, Jesus talks about you people recognize the signs of when the fig tree starts to bend and flower, when the clouds come in a certain way and the winds, and you know it's going to rain. I guess this isn't feeling wrong. But yet you don't see the signs right there, which I find interesting. Sometimes I wonder if, as we Christians, as we Catholics and Christians say, that Jesus is, if I'm understanding, Jesus is just the natural extension. Jesus is what was anticipated and what was prophesied, or who was prophesied. So why wouldn't all the Jews recognize this? I guess that's my question. If it is so pronounced and so prophesied about, why don't they get it? That's a question I have that I'd like to ask. What if you're waiting for someone and Jesus came and we would contend he's that one, what is it about Jesus that you don't think it? I think the Jews think that the Messiah was going to come like a David, a soldier, someone who would triumph and bring them up. And maybe the whole point of our religion, or one point, is to be humble and help those others. Isn't it said that, particularly about the office of the Pope, that the Pope is the servant of all of us, not somebody who a lot of Christians and others would say is someone who lords things over us or tells us what to do, or is our boss, but he's is the servant to help the guide to lead the whole church in one long procession back to God, to Jesus, to heaven. So, I mean, what sign were they? But they wanted someone who was going to make them rulers and lords over the world now, here on earth. But it seems that's not what Jesus said. He said, he served, we must serve. So, yeah, I know that's all over the place. I don't know what signs the Jewish people were looking for, but I feel like it was a more worldly sign. A King David who would make them rulers, allow them to lord it over those around them. And that's not what Jesus, it seems, came to do. So in these signs of spring and this beautiful windy day, this beautiful windy day, stop and see all the signs of Jesus working in your life. Continue to ask the saints to pray for us, and continue to pray for the souls in purgatory. And keep, persevering in this Lent.